Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Double Tap, and this is Aussie Game Rants. This week, we're staying alive. Staying alive. Staying alive. Are you fucking kidding me? This week, we're podcast reviewing Fallout Shelter. Of course, as always, I'm joined by my partners in crime, Shoxy23, say hi.
How's it going?
Jimmy D, give him a shout out.
You wanted a shout out?
Okay, composure.
This week, we're joined by our special guest with as much gaming prowess as a parakeet, introducing Single Tap. Say hi.
Yeah, that's a bit accurate.
Yeah. So, this week we're discussing Fallout Shelter. So who was it developed by?
Developed by Bethesda?
Yeah, Bethesda Gaming.
Bethesda Gaming, yep.
So, big software developer. And
Yep.
of course, what platforms are we talking about?
It's on all current mobile platforms at the moment.
So iOS and Android.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic.
Is it on Microsoft?
No.
No.
I don't think anything's on Microsoft.
No, you can ask me. I got a Surface. Shit.
This is their first entry into mobile gaming, isn't it?
I believe that's the case.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the gameplay there, Shoxy?
Well, it's very much based in the world of Fallout. If you're not familiar with it, post-apocalyptic nuclear war in America, and a lot of people have been herded into these underground Fallout shelters. Hence the name. They're called vaults, and you are tasked with being the overseer of the vault, so you're in charge of creating and running the vault and collecting resources and whatnot.
It's a glorified Farmville simulator.
There are some who consider that to be their opinion.
It's basically, hey, here's this. Go collect it. Oh wait, did you just get resources? Go collect that. Hey, your guy just leveled up. Click on that. It's Farmville, set in the Fallout universe.
There's something to be said about Farmville games, though, isn't there? They're somewhat addictive, but obviously, okay, so when I refer to Single Tap as having as much gaming prowess as a parakeet, I don't mean that literally. She has less.
Yeah.
Provided it's one of those parakeets that games a lot.
But that's why we've brought her onto the panel this week, because it provides us with this interesting perspective. Now, obviously, a lot of people, mostly older people, play Farmville games, and they're very addictive, and you go, you collect, you do this, you plant these crops, you do all that kind of thing. In Fallout, you get your new people.
Yeah, you get new people, people level up, you collect your resources, you tend to incidents in the vault.
You open new rooms in your vault.
Yep.
You can procreate.
The premise of the Farmville genre is basically click on this, wait X amount of minutes or hours, collect, click on this again, wait a minute, so on and so forth. But it is addictive. It's basically to me it's as addictive as watching paint dry, but
I had a similar experience to you. I played it for a short amount of time and couldn't stand it because mobile gaming is not for me. But I think the beauty of it is that it permeates into this aspect where Bethesda, this major gaming company, has all of a sudden released a mobile game where I've seen complete strangers on the train playing it. People who seem like they wouldn't be gamers, typically an older audience. And of course, Single Tap over here, who hasn't played Fallout before, have you?
I have not.
So obviously this would be your, technically your first entry into the Fallout universe.
Yeah, it is my debut Fallout appearance.
Exactly.
But it's good. It makes the Fallout universe accessible to people who wouldn't otherwise be involved in it.
Absolutely, yeah. But
the casual gamers have an entry level. You don't have to, sink 60, 70 hours into a game, and it's a little bit easier.
yeah, exactly right. And I mean, it works as almost like a marketing tool. I should rephrase that. It is a marketing tool for upcoming Fallout.
Big time, yeah.
Yeah. So let's dial it back a little bit and talk about its release. Now, it was released originally on the iOS.
Yeah, and that just got under my skin a little bit, being an Android user.
Well, why is that, though?
I believe Apple got purchased initial release rights for it.
sounds about right. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's generally the case nowadays. with a lot of things, PS4, Xbox. Basically, there's no real things such as exclusives anymore in this day and age. I mean, you've got your 2 or 3, Infamous for PS4, Halo for Xbox One, Dead Rising for Xbox One, and so on and so forth.
They're usually first party developed.
Which are developed by either Sony or the Microsoft Corporation. Nowadays, anyone that isn't can be bought out for exclusive rights. Tomb Raider, for example, Rise of the Tomb Raider, the new one's coming out, has exclusive initial rights to Xbox. So Xbox gets to bring it out first, then PlayStation. Same kind of thing with things like what was the other one that PlayStation's got one. I can't remember the name of it. I'm pretty sure it's like Kingdom Hearts or something like that. They have initial rights to release it first, and then Xbox gets to do it later.
It's a timed exclusive.
Yeah, basically.
It's a timed exclusive. So, for mobile gaming, I seem to recall the landscape being quite a while ago that iOS would get most major apps and game releases first off, because they initiated the market and had a larger market base. These days, they're largely at parity, I would say, if not Android surpassing the iOS store for app downloads. And so to see the vast majority of us here, apart from Jimmy D, being Android users, to see that timed exclusivity for such vehement Fallout fans, such as yourself, Shotzi23, is quite upsetting, but almost inevitable.
Yeah, you got to expect that these days. They're going to go, hey, that looks like a good game. Let's purchase it first, so the other guy can't have it. And so, yeah, you get the Android users missing out for a while.
Yeah, and basically what it's intended to sit there and go, okay, cool. To the general public, when these timed exclusives are out, it's intended for them to go and buy that console for that game before they have, so they don't have to wait X amount of months. The people are going to be sitting there, especially. It'll be a bad thing when we see things like that in Call of Duty and stuff like that, only because those games have a learning skill where you have to, basically, if you're into those kind of games, you buy them on release, you play multiplayer from release, and you learn all the different mechanics. If you've got a couple of months apart, these hardcore gamers are going to move to the next console to get that game.
I think most recent and perfect example of that is the Street Fighter franchise moving to PS4, as I understand it. It's quite an interesting move. And obviously timed exclusives and exclusives have their place, but I just don't think for the mobile market that they're appropriate. Not anymore, not in this day and age.
Doesn't really need to.
Unless it's a first party, once again, first party design thing, Google designs an app. Well, fair enough. Publish that on your Google store and go from there. Apple creates a
Apple Music and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. Those things completely make sense. But for Bethesda to release their first mobile gaming app,
And there was a lot of hype about it when it was announced and everything.
well, because I believe it was at E3,
It was at E3 2015.
they said you can go and get it now. And of course people went, wow,
Yeah,
I love getting my shit now.
I jumped online and it's like, oh, you've got to wait a couple of months until it's done.
They also did not announce there that it was only on Apple to begin with. They said available now on Android and Apple, and that's where the confusion started. They didn't actually state that it's Apple only for this X amount of months because they're working out the kinks in Android. Problem with the difference between Android and Apple, it's going a bit off topic, but the difference between them, Apple has a unison thing. They're all iPhones. You're not going to have a Samsung product, a Sony product, a this product, a
They're
that
on the
product.
same.
The problem with
They developed the
Androids
phone and the operating
and the
system.
iOS itself
Whereas
to fit for
Android-
that phone.
Android is just the operating system.
So basically, it could have also come down to, for this game, hardware capabilities. They might have had to work out the kinks where it's not just working for a singular hardware. It's got to work for, Samsung Edge all the way down to, down to, I don't know, down to the Xperia, one of the original Xperias that run the Android. It's one of those things that they had to work out, so it means that they had to put in graphics sliders, and they had to put in this kind of slider and that kind of slider to alter it so that they could run on
Every unit.
majority of Android devices. It's a lot easier for a company to develop a game for Apple than it is for Android. And that's probably where this exclusivity came from more than the timed one.
But in saying that, Bethesda's a major game company. They can develop for some of the most sophisticated consoles in the world, and in saying that they can't dedicate half of team or a few people to developing for Android is a sham. It's a sad excuse. And for any major gaming company such as Nintendo, who are looking at moving to the mobile market, doing those exclusivity deals really hurt your end sales if you are actually paying for them. Now the good thing is with Fallout Shelter,
Totally free.
it's completely free, of course. But before we get into some of those more specific features, let's talk a little bit about gameplay. So, how does the game kick off, and how does it progress?
So you start off, you've got 2 dwellers in there, and some very basic rooms. And so you've got to slowly increase the size of your shelter. You've got to extend down into the, under the ground. And then, once you start off, you get more people coming in. You assign them to different rooms. So you've got your water, food, and power for your 3 main resources. So you've got 3 different rooms that supply those. You have to put people into them. Once you get going a little bit, you can have a male and a female dweller go into the living quarters, and
the hanky-panky.
yeah, they spend a couple of minutes in there, and they come back out, and they're all happy. And
It's a little bit like Sims making them go have woohoo.
yes,
bit of
and
fun
then
time.
It's a lot easier than Sims to make them have woohoo. They just have to be in the same room.
and it can be completely accidental. You go, oh crap, I left a girl and a guy in the room. Oh
I've
god, what
done
have I
that.
done?
I've accidentally had like 4 people because I've left
I got an
someone
extra.
in the room.
You
I got-
accidentally created
No.
a Fallout Shelter orgy.
I did.
I accidentally
I
got an
lost-
extra 30
I
population.
accidentally,
An
let my
extra-
population knock each other up.
No,
That's called poor governance.
I've gotten to the point where I'm only checking my vault like
Invest in
twice a day,
healthcare and put some
and
into condoms.
I'll put
Thanks,
someone in there
Obama.
because I wanted
Obamacare.
to make
Obama.
like have a baby. I needed to unlock a room. I needed 1 more person. So I left the woman and the man in the living quarters, and I was like, sweet, she's pregnant. Came back like 8 hours later, whatever, and
Another 3 kids.
it goes, they've had a kid, and I've gone, sweet. And then I've got to do something. I've looked back and they're having sex again.
And once
I
they're
was
having
like,
sex, you can't stop
oh.
them. You can't go, hey, you, stop.
Yeah, you can't drag them out of the room or anything. And I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And then I closed the app. And I came back the
Just
next day,
close
and
it
it
out.
just kept going.
Gave up on it.
Yeah. Well, I got into a habit if they accidentally knocked someone up, I sent them out into the out into the waste and
You've
killed them.
misbehaved.
You've misbehaved. You're gonna go and die now.
Go sit in the naughty wasteland.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're in the naughty
And so-
corner.
Speaking of the wasteland, you can also send people out, as I said, and you can arm them with an outfit, a weapon, and give them a whole bunch of.
Arm them with an outfit.
On the
Do
movie
pray
outfit.
tell, do I carry an outfit and slap people with it?
Definitely. Sleep slap.
What? You haven't done that before. You
Glove slap.
you picked.
Maybe
Sir,
glove slap.
I challenge you to a duel.
I demand satisfaction.
So okay. So you
I wasn't gonna fight that
You
one.
equip them with...
You equip them with an outfit and a weapon, and then you can also give them a multitude of stim packs and rataways. Stim packs are they can use them to regain their health, and the rataways are, as the name suggests, to get rid of the radiation. And so they can be out there for a few hours and everything, or however long you want. I've never had one last more than 2 days. But you call them back in, and they will have collected a whole bunch of caps, which is the form of currency, and outfits and weapons and whatnot. And then you collect them when they come back and everything, and you can equip them to other dwellers.
Now, for a person who hasn't had much exposure to the Fallout series single tap, how did you deal with the knowledge and the learning curve, being the payment system, being the bottle caps, the environment, the stim packs, the rad packs? How did that come across to you?
Well, I was a little bit familiar with the Fallout universe to begin with because since Fallout 3's come out, I've heard people talk about their gameplay and that sort of thing. It wasn't too difficult. You just sort of replace the word caps with dollars and head on your way.
Well, how did you find the tutorial?
Tutorial was unnecessary given that it's just like click and drag gameplay.
It's
But-
fairly basic. You don't really need much of an introduction to it if you're familiar with any gaming. But I suppose
So you're agreeing then to Jimmy D's statement about it being simple? Farmville style gameplay.
Well, it's
To
not
a
it's
degree,
not a-
Just
yes.
outright conceding.
To begin with, it's not a hard game, but it's good to waste the time, and it does get more difficult as it goes on. Especially with the last update, they've brought in many more creatures
What
that will
kind
come and kill you.
of creatures have they brought? Because most of the ones that you kind of versed in the initial release would have been raiders and then your basic red roaches, and that was about
You
that
had
was it.
red roaches, mole rats that could just randomly appear in your vault, raiders that could break into the front door, and
motherfucking death claws.
Motherfucking death claws. Of course, they are the bane of any vault owner.
oh god, they can just stuff you up really, really bad. They can go through 3 or 4 floors and wipe out just about every single one of the dwellers
See,
in
I've
there.
not had them kill all my people yet.
Or
Once you
I've
have
had them kill like 5.
once you get further into it, not only are they more common, but they're also a lot stronger. So I can have a whole bunch of people, even with a bit of level on them, and they will literally just walk through every single room and kill them.
It's got a very similar system to the Fallout games themselves, whereas as you got stronger, so did the enemies.
That's it, yeah. So they level up with you, but it kind of sucks if you have a level 1 person in one of your entry rooms. You have about 3 seconds to heal them, otherwise they're dead.
how do we find that the game runs? My first experience with it was very beautiful graphics for a mobile game, and it also had ridiculously beautiful music.
Unique. It's very unique art style.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've put a lot of effort into
Excuse
it.
me. It's a cross between 2D and 3D. Your shelter itself is 3D, but your characters are 2D. So
So it's a 2.5D.
Basically, think Paper Mario style beat. That's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah.
Half and half, but
So you guys never had any issues on startup or anything like that?
Mine loads really slowly.
Mine can take up to 2 minutes to load because my vault is so deep. It goes all the way down to the bottom now, and I've got over 160 dwellers. It does take a bit to start up sometimes.
Which, I mean, it's to be expected, really, if you expanded your vault that big.
from reviews, that's the biggest gripe that people have with that game was that the
Load-in
load
time.
times once
Yep.
you got a large vault, which is understandable.
Once
I mean,
you
you
accept
look
that
at
you have no social life.
yeah, basically.
Sorry, Shogsy, I mean once you have a perfectly adequate social life.
Well, I've got you
he's
guys.
He's got all the friends in his vault.
Well, yeah.
Got 160
He can just breed a
people
new
to
friend when he needs it.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's to be expected. I mean, mobile games aren't meant to be big at this current point in time. Who knows what where the way technology's going? We're getting some really high-end games. Again, it's one of those things that works better on Apple. Their load times were a little bit faster
Because
it
of
was
the
made.
uniform hardware.
Well, the uniform hardware.
More
So,
or less, yeah.
but other than that, from what I've seen, it's just been all good reviews.
So this is the second time we've spoken about paid content in video games.
Microtransactions.
Yes. So what are the microtransactions like in this game? And obviously we do have a member of the panel who did buy
A few things.
a few
Yes.
things.
So you've got 2 main unlockable things that you can get for free throughout the game, which are your lunchboxes, which will have various different pieces from extra resources, money, outfits, weapons,
Extra people
extra people
In a
occasionally.
lunchbox.
Isn't
in
it
a
like,
lunchbox.
Yeah, they're very
aren't they
small people.
highly skilled?
Yeah,
So
they're
are.
generally
they're
really
usually, highly
They've got
skilled in
very
this.
good stats.
Very
generally, and they come with
specific
really cool
area.
clothes. Yeah.
very good special and a good outfit or a good weapon or both occasionally. But you've also got your Mr. Handies. If you're familiar with the Fallout world, you'll know what they are. But if not,
You're probably thinking it's something really dirty.
It's definitely something
Funny
really
fact, there
dirty.
is one called. Well, you do have the Mr. Handies, but there's also one in Fallout.
New Vegas?
New Vegas, I'm pretty sure. Called Mr. Fisto. You can imagine what he does.
But, so yeah, in your lunchboxes you can also get the Mr. Handies, which are robots that
collect your resources.
they collect
for
your
you.
resources, they help defend the vault if it's under attack.
So it's a Farmville game that plays itself.
Eventually, yeah.
To an extent, yes.
So how much does a lunchbox cost?
So a lunchbox costs about $2 for one, but you can buy 40 for $25, I think.
And how many did you buy?
I didn't buy any lunchboxes. You can buy the exclusive Mr. Handy lunchboxes that only come with Mr. Handys in them. And so I've purchased 10 of those.
So you got 10 handies.
I got 10 handies for $10.
And the
yes.
total, so that was 10 for 10.
Yes, it's not terribly
three for free.
expensive, but yeah, it's
Can you acquire these Mr. Handies
In
through
game.
normal gameplay?
You can.
yes, Single Tap did manage to get one.
Because you have objectives to meet throughout the game, and when you meet these objectives, you're either rewarded with caps or lunchboxes.
What kind of objectives?
Objectives such as make 15 babies,
Or have a
Send-
certain number of incidents, or
send a dweller out to the wasteland for 10 hours, those sorts of things. I don't know, I did a really basic one. I think it was like...
wasn't yours
have
the
3
7-day
kids.
challenge?
So the lunchboxes
Yeah.
are just luck of the draw then?
They're just like
For the most part, they're
full of
just
random things.
completely
and
random
also,
things.
every day you open the game, you're rewarded with caps. Every 7th day, you're rewarded with a lunchbox. So you get rewards for doing nothing except opening the game.
The typical instant gratification of mobile
Yep.
gaming, of course.
Exactly,
Now,
yes.
is there anything else you can purchase?
No, it's just those two things, so it's...
So they keep themselves reasonably well priced, which is fantastic for microtransactions. It's
That
not
being
something we
said,
see.
there are a number of combos.
So let's wrap this one up. What do we think? We'll do the altered scale, being good, neutral, or bad. Jimmy D.
I'm going to go with neutral based on the fact that it kept me entertained for a while, but I lost interest purely because it is a Farmville game.
Shogsy 23.
I give it a good. I'm a massive fan of Fallout. I've probably put, I'd say, close to 50 hours into this game. I still play it regularly, and there's very few negative things I have to say about it.
In the broad spectrum of things, compared to a console game, 50 hours is a very long time to play a mobile game. Most of the times that you will log on to this is if you're out and about, you'll go and have a look. It's 2 minutes.
It'll be 3 to 5 minutes at most.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
generally how I play it.
So single tap.
I'll give it a good. The more dwellers I get and the more involved it gets, the less interest I have in it. But I'm still playing it. I'm still checking it fairly regularly.
I'm tempted to give it a bad, but I can't do it. I have to give it a neutral, based on, of course, the beautiful graphics and beautiful music. The art direction in this game is stunning. I despise mobile gaming. I almost refuse to do it. Better than Farm.
Yes.
Now, for all you ladies and gentlemen out there listening or watching, make sure you write in the comments your thoughts on Fallout Shelter, and a little challenge for you. Post in the comments, and we'll read out whoever's correct next week.
So if there were 30 cows, 28 chickens, how many didn't?
Good question. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Aussie Game Rant's podcast review of Fallout Shelter. To summarise, we've given it 2 neutrals and 2 goods. I've been your host, Double Tap. We'll talk to you next time.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please check out any of the other videos in the sections next to us.
You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/AussieGameRants. You can find us on Twitter at AussieGameRants. You can find us on Instagram at AussieGameRants. And you can email us at aussiegamerants@gmail.com.
We'll talk to you next time.